please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Where Are They Now? This is a series we do every year around December where we recap the year, like an end of year review but not completely, and delve into what someone has been up to over the year to see where they are when this is released. Today's subject is Johnny Somali. Now I've covered Johnny multiple times here and on a Megon too, because Johnny is just a great example of somebody who effed around and is now finding out through the South Korean legal system, which we won't have results for until 2026, just how badly screwed he is. And he violated so many rules and so many people, he is looking at some very serious consequences. Consequences of which I am okay with. I do not believe any person, any creator, anywhere should go to another country and culture and just enact their own will upon those people, their own version of what culture should be, for the shock value, the clout, the infamy, rather than any long-term fame, only short-term, well, what Johnny gets. And Johnny is on the receiving end of possible prison time, much of which we discussed over the years, so I'm going to now show you the videos we've made, clips of anyway. At the end of it, we're going to see where he is as a little recap. It's going to be a short one though, because of where the legal system is heading next. If you have popcorn, you're going to require it. This is going to be fairly lengthy. Johnny Somali is a clown that deserves karmic justice and is getting karmic justice. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future he decides to emulate Earl Hickey, write his list and right all the wrongs he had committed in his lifetime. But if he's a good little karmic justice seeker, he'll never ever manage to complete that list. He is a poser, a fraud, an idiot, a moron, a clown, as I've earlier stated, that deserves everything that comes his way. And Korea is giving him that, which we here on the internet fully support. This is not, by the way, before someone says it, a free speech issue. No, he has freely spoken in a country that does not tolerate his BS, much like Israel before and Japan, one of which he is banned from. Or is he banned from both now? I can't remember. He's gotten into a habit of being banned from every country he's been to. I was hoping he'd come to the UK, because if he came here, there's a chance the chavs would get him, but there's also a chance he'd be treated like a messiah, which I would find highly amusing. He has for a while been in detention, he has been held, Johnny Somali, has been put into a position of highly restrictive existence because of his actions, his disrespect, and his intentional, willful attitude towards other people, locals, within the countries he goes to that he tries to insult, degrade, attack, and all for what? Oh, that's right, streaming clout. He is one of the many damning statements for the current state of affairs with regards to IRL streamers, many of whom do not understand the word decorum because it means actually paying attention. They also all seem to lack any viable interpersonal skills, meaning they don't have any real-world experience that could in any way allow them to have a real job. In before someone says, this is a real job. You're right, it is. Perhaps I should rephrase it from the black pill boomered language and instead state a job away from the internet where they might actually prosper and live a better life where their mental health is not well and truly compromised, and their egos don't desperately need to be sated by begging it up and acting like a twat on the internet. Oh, the irony. I know, am I right, guys? None of these idiots, Johnny especially, possess an iota of capacity to introspect, so they can't consider how they can be wrong, but they can give you a plastic version of it. There are three states of matter: elastic, plastic, and brittle. Everything about Johnny is plastic. It can be moved and vaguely go back to where it once was, but it will never truly be what it once was because the damage is done. His reputation, though, is based on him being a young twerp, and boy does he do that well. I've covered him before on this channel. I would link videos down below, but I can't do that. Instead, I'm going to suggest if you want the Cliff's Notes, I'm going to provide it here. In October of last year in a convenience store, Johnny Somali confronted a store employee after she advised him against drinking alcohol on the premises. He went on to make sexist remarks during the altercation. He approached a Comfort Women memorial statue, who are victims of wartime sex slavery by Japan, and kissed and danced near the statue, considered highly offensive. On public transport, he verbally, racially abused everyone he could see and attack, In public, he did exactly the same thing and even challenged people to attack him. So they did. He was formally indicted without detention by sole prosecutors on November the 12th for causing a commotion. And this, over time, has been added to because of other large amounts of evidence against him. He believes he'll be going home without any jail time at all. However, it should be pointed out he's against a prosecutor who has a 90% win ratio. The obstruction of business charge that he's actually facing could put him in jail for up to 5 years. That's ignoring the narcotics charge, because ongoing investigations believe him to have carried narcotics along with spreading North Korean propaganda. When it comes to North Korea, in South Korea, you need to pick your words incredibly carefully, especially if you're on a train. It's not a right move in the slightest. He is currently stuck in South Korea and will be there until the trial itself. And it gets funnier because he can't represent himself, he can't afford a defender, he has a public defender, and he can't make money off his live streams while he is in South Korea, meaning he is financially bound. So, more recently, Atozi on Twitter on March the 7th, so 3 days ago, tweeted, "Went to the Johnny Somali trial in Seoul, South Korea. Thing went terrible for him. He came in smiling and mocking us. But the smile was quickly cut quickly even, when the judge announced the charges. With the current official charges, he's facing a decade in prison. But we also found out more charges are coming alongside of a separate court case. The case before him had been ongoing for over a year, so it seems like either way, he will be stuck here for a while. If there's a takeaway, don't harass people in public for your content, then continue to double down over and over again." Now this intrigues me, because poor Johnny has been put into a real bind, hasn't he? He, for somebody who's vertically challenged, has been acting remarkably big. The bravado has been there. Misplaced arrogance is quite common with this type of streamer who believe themselves free of consequence. That's why I keenly await the day Jack Doherty gets done like this as well, because I can't think of anyone more deserving, next to Johnny Somali that is. These IRL streamers to me are a cancer on the entire format of streaming. But here we are, and Johnny has had the smile wiped off his face. He has been humbled by a judge who has now told him, by the way, you're screwed. So what does Johnny do? Well, for that, we can actually go to an Atozi livestream, 11 minutes long after the court part itself.
I just got out of the Johnny Somali trial. So the thing is, we just got out of the trial. It went absolutely terrible for Johnny, because Johnny showed up more than an hour late with a MAGA hat on and a big bottle of water, and he was just screaming essentially he got in trouble for, number one, wearing the hat, and number two, the bottle.
What I love about this update so far is that Johnny has proceeded to make things even worse for himself, because he's yet to actually feel that humbling sensation. It's not the tingly one he gets when he gets to touch a person with consent. No, that's a different tingle. He'll have that when he's in prison. No, instead, he's yet to feel the genuine force of consequence. The negative side, that is. Because everything for him is just a dream. I feel like Avenged Sevenfold are right with their very complicated album. Life is but a dream. For him, life is but a consequence. For everyone else apart from him, apparently.
So now there's 4 charges that was in that trial, correct?
There are 4 charges against him, but only 3 of them were addressed today.
Okay.
The 4th charge, which he just discovered about the other day, which I brought up on my stream 2 days ago, and he got the notice of in Korean yesterday. Actually, didn't even get it. Sorry.
So, oh wow.
He didn't know anything about it today, and his lawyer didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, they were pretty shocked.
I'm not gonna lie. I would have loved to have seen the look on Johnny's face as the shit-eating grin just dissipates further and further. It becomes one where he knows the only food he's going to be eating is served on a tray after his cellmate has had his fill of it first. Then again, if you're Johnny's size, you don't need much food anyway, do you now? Unless it's a cock meat sandwich. And if someone gets offended about these jokes, I highly recommend you watch Harold and Kumar, the second one. These jokes come from that. Alright?
Oh, okay. So that was a separate charge. Was that the charge that he was showing?
The new obstruction charge.
Oh, the newest obstruction charge. Okay, yeah. So there's another charge as well that's coming against him about the deepfake stuff that he accidentally leaked on his stream last night. Because as we've been covering, I mean, he's been playing his cards in the worst way possible the whole time, from start to finish.
In South Korea, last year a law was passed that anyone who possessed deepfakes could be subject to 7 years in jail and a $22,000 fine. Johnny had some deepfakes and was promoting them on a live stream. Some of those deepfakes concern him being with people, famous celebrities in South Korea that is, none of which true, because no straight woman would knowingly want to get with someone like Johnny. Seriously, they have standards. Even he's not tall enough.
And last night, I guess he decided to get drunk at 3 in the morning, go live, and show up extremely late to court because of that. And on his live stream, he was doing, like, I guess, getting paid to do shots, and he ended up showing a new charge that hadn't been leaked to the public yet.
Don't you just love a drunk Johnny Somali, whose inhibitions vanish even more than they already had, and he decides to show us more than he really should be showing, which then in turn show us and tell us just how well and truly screwed the smeg it is.
So that charge was actually it's the police case that the police have given over to the prosecutor. So it means that they're going to prosecute it. It's going to trial. Yeah.
In the Korean system, once the police decide to actually formally charge you and they send it to the prosecutors, that's pretty much it. That's where you get the 90+% conviction rate. You're pretty much done. If they've decided to go that far, that means they have the evidence to prove the crime.
Oh, he is screwed then, isn't he? What a shame. You see, in other countries like mine, he would get a slap on the wrist because he meets certain criteria and quotas for diversity, equity and inclusion, and of course in my country where it's a two-tier system, even though politicians try and say otherwise, legal guidance actually prove it is a two-tier system, he would get the slap on the wrist. In South Korea, no, you bloody well don't. In fact, many of the countries he's been to, you don't. You really don't. But it's amusing that he might well think he has a chance. Him live streaming could be seen as a hurrah, a last hurrah, before he disappears for a time. I want to see what he tries to do when he comes out, because I do think he's going to prison.
Right, okay, so the charges that we know, okay, so we have the 2 misdemeanors, which, number 1, it was for the fish.
Minor Crimes Act.
The Minor Crimes Act, which are essentially misdemeanors in the U.S. That was for running around with that fish. Then on top of that, there was another misdemeanor charge for him twerking on people on the subway, which I'm surprised they haven't mentioned anything about him interrupting the concert, because he went up on stage and did a whole spiel there as well.
We don't know what that last obstruction charge is. Maybe
so that could be it, because that seemed to be televised.
It's funnier to know what these charges are, especially when you consider these are all still ongoing. Because, as they've stated, if it gets this far generally within the South Korean criminal justice system, if they've gotten this far, you're guilty. Johnny turning up in a suit that's far too big for him, which we do find out in this live stream, is hilarious, because it tells us he doesn't have the money to get something made to fit. Although I do believe it would be easier for him just to go to a shop and buy a figurine toy with clothes that can be taken off. With his skinny little frame, it would fit. Might still be too long though.
So these crimes are just for this district. The other crime is for the eastern. Is it the eastern? Yeah, the eastern district is the sex crime is for the eastern district. So that won't be in this court.
Right.
That'll be in the other courtroom.
So that crime that he just mentioned, that was the deep fake incident with the was it Bong Bong TV or something like that?
Probably Bong Bong. Many of the Korean streamers have deep fakes with Johnny Somali, and they've all pressed charges, and none of them have dropped them. But I believe this one will be Bong Bong because it specifically mentioned female.
Yeah, it's it.
This definitively tells us there will be more than one trial that Johnny is facing. I'm loving this. I really am. I don't know how to suppress my giddiness any further than I already have, because it just wants to come out like a flower and blossom, and then slap Johnny Somali in the face.
So, and then obviously the last charge, which was the obstruction of business, that was confirmed to be in the 7-Eleven.
The judge saw him making faces at us.
Right, yeah, when he walked in.
And then on the bench, he made a face directly at me and
in front of everyone.
Right to us, in
Very
front of everybody.
intelligent.
He looked to us and did
Yeah.
both of us.
I won't deny there's a level of swagger here that is quite unbecoming for someone like Johnny Somali. Now, with regards to the charges, we need to quickly address what Johnny decided to do, because it's important.
So, he has another case. What, it's scheduled for April 9th?
April 9th is going to be his plea, his time to plea for the new charge. So he pled guilty on the 3 counts, the old obstruction charge he got in November, than the 2 minor crimes act. He pled guilty on those. But the new one he got this week, he hasn't pled anything. His lawyer hasn't reviewed it. So he's got to come back to court. He doesn't even know what it is.
What I love is we know so far, based on what he's pled guilty to, he's still looking at around 5 years. He really is. We know he's back in April, and yes, we know this takes time. I'm okay with the process taking time as long as the process is thorough and the chance to appeal is reduced significantly, not because of rights, but because they've been so thorough, there are no windows of opportunity. That's what I like. I would not be surprised though, if in that time, the interim, the month we have before he goes back to that court, he pleads guilty anyway, because he may as well get it over and done with. There's very little in the chance or recourse for him to get out of this without, a slap on the wrist in a prison cell.
A lot of people were saying
a year at this point, a
minimum a year is what you think. So a lot of people here are thinking he's going to get somewhere between 3 to 5 years in prison for all of this, which is crazy. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens moving forward.
Ramzi Khalid Ismail, better known by his alias Johnny Somali, is a live streamer who is known for his controversial behaviour and antics. Nice underselling. The streamer, who is banned on Twitch, is facing 2 counts of obstructing business, 2 minor crime act violations, and a few other charges. To make his reputation even worse, he was spotted wandering around before joining the protest where he shouted "Chinese Communist Party out" and kissed posters of the president. He was addressing his livestream on Power Chat when he was punched in the back of his head by someone who recognized him at some place. But it wasn't until the assailant called him a racial slur that the streamer started following him. When it comes to how Johnny is treated IRL, because his streams are all IRL anyway, it turns out, camera or no camera, the people of South Korea really don't like him. And there can be some aggravating, motivating factors, of course. There can be some arbitrary ones too. I'm not going to justify them attacking him, nor him disrespecting or attacking them. Not going to do that. I'm, however, going to show the clip.
W stream, are you guys enjoying the stream today? Whoa! Whoa! You should have been live when you saw that. What's up? Come back. Come back. Come back. What did you say? What did you say? Hey, back the fuck. What's up? Why are you punching me? I'm a what?
I'm really hoping this isn't one of those people that were paid to do something like that, because it generates controversy and interesting content, even for someone like Johnny, whose relevancy is diminishing massively by the day. And he needs relevancy. For a guy who can't make much money on the platforms that he's on right now, his options, as you all know, are very limited. It's why he has a public defender as opposed to paying for somebody to defend him. Although, at the same time, if you're going to save money, you may as well, especially if you know eventually how screwed you really are. And we know he's screwed. We know he's going to prison. I'm all in favour of it because it tickles me to no end.
Why are you saying that? Can I touch the statue? So you think it's okay to be physically assaulting somebody?
Yeah, you're in my country, buddy.
Listen, but you can't physically assault me. You come to America, you think I'm gonna assault you?
So
what the f is that?
Different country, buddy.
So you cannot touch me. You wanna go to jail right now?
Yeah, whatever.
You wanna go to jail? You wanna go to jail? You want me to call the police right now?
Hey, you want to face me?
Back the f up. You're in front of the police station right here, bro.
Hey,
you're in front of the police station right now. What the f are you doing? Why don't you talk and have a conversation? Have a conversation and talk.
Just in case you're curious why I played more of this, it's because I loved that during this interaction, this altercation, Johnny, because he creates interest, it really does. He tried to take the high ground. I'm not going to justify him being hit. I'm just going to point out that in virtually all his streams where he's out in the public, he gets hit by somebody. It kind of part and parcel with his content these days. I expect him, if he goes back to America, to suffer the same fate. When he gets back to America, that is, after he served an inevitable prison sentence. Now, to go back to the CCP and the protest thing, Somali has been, because of domestic online communities, he's been outed because it's actually illegal for foreigners to participate in political protests. Which means he could actually face an additional charge, but I guess why beat somebody when they're already down? Even if they act as if they're not, he's short enough that he could be considered laying down half the time. One charge we know there's a lot more to concerns deepfakes. This one carries a rather hefty sentence. We know this is being discussed, and that is in fact where the guaranteed prison time is. Prosecutors revealed recently that he is now facing charges for violating South Korea's Special Act on Sexual Violence Crimes. The charge stems from an AI-generated deepfake that depicted popular Korean streamer Bong Bong in fabricated intimate scenes with Johnny Somali. Under South Korean law, the creation, distribution or possession of non-consensual AI-generated explicit content is classified as a sexual crime. As it should be, by the way. I'm not a big fan of the AI stuff in the first place, whether it be cartoon art, whether it be the promotion of AI Instagram influencer accounts, yes, I've seen those. Whether it be used for comedic purposes, I'm not a fan, okay, in the art sense. I'm really not a fan. To use it to create your own adult content, though, with yourself in it, that is a violation of that person. It really is. Not you, the person who created it, the person you featured within it. It was done solely to create harm, to harm their brand, harm that person, to besmirch them in any way you can. Legal experts have confirmed that this offence carries a mandatory prison sentence of up to 7 years. Now previously, we discussed what we think Johnny will get based on the 4 charges that were known. Based on the severity, we all agree 1 to 2 years at most. This one's a swerve, up to 7 years. Based on the 2, unless they do concurrent, I could believe you'll get another 2 on top. Now I don't know if South Korea does a out on good behaviour thing, but let's face it here, anything more than a year in prison for Johnny is catastrophic for his presence online. He could of course come back, but he actually has to start again. This guy's been yeeted from multiple platforms. He has minimal presence on anywhere outside of TikTok and the shitty little place he streams. He really doesn't have much of a presence anymore, all the big platforms he's not on. He can't be on them because of what he does. His YouTube channel is also minimal. He's not that popular. He's really not. TikTok is where he actually had some viewership. Easy money as well if he wants to come back and start doing NPC. Maybe South Korean prison will teach him to grow up a little bit. Even though he'll still be shorter than most, he's really not that tall or that tough.
Take the mask off. You're not a man. You hiding with a mask. Hit better next time. Hit better next time. Should we follow him out or just let him go? Let him go? You're a pussy. Come here and talk. Come talk. Come talk. Come talk. Come here. Yo, come. Now you falling down the stairs like a bitch. Come. You pussy. Come talk. Take the mask off.
Quote from Legal Mindset, "This is not simply an issue of digital mischief. This is a serious sexual offence, and South Korea's courts will treat it as such. When deepfakes are weaponized to humiliate or defame, which is pretty much how they're always used, the legal system responds with severe consequences." South Korea has cemented its reputation as a global leader in combating digital sex crimes. Country's strict laws were fortified following a series of high-profile cases involving sexually explicit deepfakes and online harassment. In 2024, lawmakers passed legislation criminalizing the possession and viewing of non-consensual deepfake content. Offenders can face up to 3 years in prison or fines reaching $30 million, which is about $26,000.
He hit me like in the hat. He tried to slap my hat off. It didn't. No damage. No damage. No damage. Alex, did you get the footage?
Yeah, I got it.
You got the footage? Alex got the footage. Don't chase Johnny. I'm not gonna chase him. In front of the police station. Look at them. How weak they are. Look at that. Follow that gook. It's crazy.
No offense intended, because I've seen you hit the ground so many times, Johnny, but you are the last person who should be acting big brave because someone walked away after clarting you. I'm not big on sucker punches, but you've been sucker punched a lot. Credit where it's due, you do get up, but you really should learn to stop running your mouth, to keep getting clarted. You are, let's face it, based on your size, at risk of CTE at this point, if you haven't already had a half a dozen in South Korea. And as far as updates go, knowing that he is now in genuine trouble, as if he wasn't before, this one being the more serious and treated as such, when it comes to his next court hearing, which I think is early April anyway, I'm curious to see how quickly he pleads guilty to this when he knows there's a guaranteed prison sentence. When it's up to 7 years, I'll be honest, based on his antics in the country, compounded with everything else as mitigating evidence, I can genuinely see them putting him away for what I've already suggested of at least 2 years. Today we're going to be providing a small update on Johnny Somali. The reason why is because 2 videos were shared to Twitter, and both somewhat contrasting, showing 2 differing sides to the character of Johnny Somali, and I think it only right to play both so you can see what he wants us to see and then what he thinks we want to now see. He is currently looking at mandatory prison terms. especially as one of them is definitively proven. He's pled guilty to others. His forfeit is going to be prison time to an extent, and then undoubted exile from the country. It can be put on a list of countries he's banned from, like Israel and Japan. I would not be surprised if afterwards he continued to do this because it's Johnny Somali. But apparently he's having a Mizzy-style awakening. If you don't remember who Mizzy is, Mizzy was one of those twerps running through shopping centres, causing havoc, stealing dogs. It's just a prank bro getting in other people's cars, going through their homes, because he thought it was funny. He then went, got locked up briefly, and then came back a new man, putting his family first. Bitch is half my age. How tragic. To the first video, we go to a clip shared by, Johnny Somali. Yeah. Johnny constantly tells people he got in trouble in Korea just for carrying a fish. Is that true? No. The police said that the crime is putting the fish in people's faces and teasing them with it, and spilling the broth on them. No wonder Johnny had this video deleted. So let's go and have a look at that.
You put that the fish to other people?
Never. Where's the proof?
Like some people sold it.
Would now be a bad time to point out that while he may have deleted the evidence is all over social media. He literally, you know what, he did it, but I do like the argumentative part, as if the police are meant to turn up with the evidence to present to him when they are investigating. It's a quaint attempt by an individual who is shorter than the police officers, which again I find quite funny. He's so vertically challenged, to try and talk his way out of the inevitable.
You are like
No, it's not true. No knife.
As I told you before, like several times, people saw and thought like you were like people carrying the baggage to other people's face.
So far, this is a perfectly reasonable position from the police officers. He is, after all, but a tourist, and he is taking every liberty in this video and up to this point with the public at his expense. At their expense, both apply in different ways. Point still stands though, nothing so far untoward. Johnny though, he just has to write that check with his mouth, doesn't he?
I did not do no crime.
Some people thought you were teasing people.
It's not true. I didn't know it's crime to walk with the grocery in Korea.
What he was doing with the grocery, the fish in question, was he was going up to people with it in their faces. That's what he was doing. He was doing it for the reaction. He was trying to seem above it. Now, I like that he tries to argue that much of what he does isn't a crime, but it isn't based on where he comes from, and the particular state anyway, to carry groceries. But that's, and again, a misunderstanding on his part. Although, I should point out, it's not illegal to carry groceries at all, unless you're in some nations where women shall be not seen or heard, in which case you probably want to have someone else carry those groceries for you. You don't want to risk your ankle showing, you lift too high. In the case of Johnny, he's going to wish he was that by the time South Korea is done with him.
I told you that is not crime.
It's not crime.
Sir.
Sorry.
Please.
My video is public. I'm not scared.
listen.
My video's on YouTube. Go on YouTube.
Not anymore, it's not. On your pitiful little channel, yes, I'm willing to call his pitiful little because it's smaller than most of ours, it is deleted. I'm not surprised you deleted it because evidence. However, to do so tells us you haven't considered the one statement that is always true about the internet. It's forever, you smaghead. Which means it doesn't matter what you post, it will always exist somewhere. Think like iDubbbz deleting all his content cops. Those videos are still on the internet. They're not on his channel, but they're everywhere else. It was like EDP's content after he got done for noncing for a 13-year-old cupcake. His content is archived everywhere because what's cracking? Yo, meh, and then insert all the slurs he likes to use. With Johnny, it's the same thing. Every dumb thing you've done has been archived and A-logged like there's no tomorrow. You're a log cow in waiting.
So he's saying that according to the video, so you put that fish to others.
Never. I don't put his face. I'm carrying it. I said, what is the name of this fish?
I don't think the identity of the fish matters. I really don't. I think what matters is you are desperately trying to deny what you did, yet the evidence has always been against you. You're as bad as I'm Alex claiming he was never violent with his ex. Clips of every time you threatened to be and when you admitted to be are all over the internet. You can deny it all you like, but this is historical revisionism. In the heat of the moment, that is. You're just being argumentative because you genuinely think you're above, at this point, consequence. And I say at this point, don't worry, we'll get to the other clips soon.
But the thing is that he felt like the embarrassed and he felt bad.
He did not call you. This guy did not call you. So So he's not a... I asked him, what is the name of this fish? That's not a crime.
Australia, like some of them.
The clip Johnny's referring to also has him with his hands on the fish, wiggling it in people's faces. He's putting his hands on the merchandise. You're a dick. As simple as that, really. You've always been that way, which is why when you try and do anything that seems somewhat melancholy by contrast, it seems insincere. Don't forget here, when a Tozy was in the courtroom and you were having all the charges read out to you, and you realised just how screwed you were, the smile off your face, oh, I wish I could have seen it. Just to watch you quite quickly go from happy-go-lucky, believing you're above consequence, to realising, oh, I'm going to prison. The reality of it all. I would love to have seen the fly on the wall would have satisfied me. Just to see this kind of crap being presented, along with the evidence that you really did do it, you think it's not a crime based on your own standards of what a crime is, because of your interpretation of what happened, which is, by the way, a lie to the police officers.
Very bad.
No,
Okay,
somebody's calling you with a fake call. I will not talk to...
How are you sure? Some of guys are very bad, so that can be crime, okay?
It's not... So charge me now. I did not do nothing. Put me in jail.
We already saw the video together,
Prove it.
right?
Well, this gets even better now, because Johnny's now, because he's lied, his argument is, well, now you need to show me the video to prove it, even though the police officers have seen it, which means they'll have a record of it. His argument is, well, I need to see it as well. But that's not how this works. They're speaking to you, by the way, with a level of courtesy and professionalism. They don't have to present anything to you. They've all seen it. Which means you know you're absolutely butt-fecked, and you know it. This is great. I'm loving this, by the way. He's being argumentative with police officers who are all military trained. They could chin him and leave him unconscious, and he would wake up in a cell with a brand new prison mate, with a pocket outturned. His name would be Teabag Bagwell.
You have a
That
victim?
video.
Do you have a victim?
Yeah?
Show me.
Fam, they don't have to show you anything. You don't understand how this works. Even in America, they don't do this. You have a right to, of course, see the accuser, of course, in a courtroom. But that's not how this works, Johnny. Also, the accusers would be anyone you harassed in any of your live streams that were all A-logged anyway. They'll have access to all of it, by the way, because the internet will happily weaponize itself to help the South Korean popo put you away for a while.
Put me in jail. I don't do nothing. What I do?
You did something.
No, I
You
did
saw
not.
the video, right?
It's a lie. He did not call you. It's somebody fake calling you on YouTube.
I could believe, by the way, there are people out there making calls, crank calls, just to get him locked up. Sadly, the video evidence does him no favours. It really doesn't. A lot of what he says he didn't do, which is why he was so cocky in the courtroom, was undone instantly when they pretty much proved it straight away. And he pled guilty to it because he knew they had the evidence for it. Why are you such a sausage? Do tell me, Johnny.
Somebody fake calling you. Show me. Fish, a person asked for compensation because fish broth splashed. It's a lie. Chat. They're saying fish broth splashed on somebody's clothes, and somebody's clothes was torn. Stop making lie. You're lying. That's a lie. Fab, honestly, end the VOD, delete the VOD, Fab.
Yes, please delete the evidence when, this evidence anyway, when one is shown that the evidence of, stuff you didn't need to be shown, to be honest. Because you're trying to be argumentative for the sake of being argumentative, and I love it. I'm almost salivating because it's so funny to me that someone like this kind of cretin, this vertically challenged, intellectually stunted cretin, can go around believing himself free of any kind of consequence, yet when presented with proof that he is breaking the rules, oh no, show me the proof, they're lying, it's a lie. To the second video, we have some slightly more withdrawn Johnny Somali. Tweet again from the Johnny So Smalley. Johnny Somali admits that prison is the only way to stop his unhealthy obsession with content creation. Johnny Somali, since nuisance streaming is unhealthy for you, I hope you go to prison so you can become healthy again. You won't go psycho, just rot in jail. Okay? I prefer okay, but okay will suffice.
Is that like a healthy way to live? To just be like have your whole body, mind, and soul dedicated to giving content to your chat?
As a content creator, there are reasons why I don't like to be at the computer for more than 2 hours at a time. I don't stream normally for longer than 3 at most, if I'm with people. The reason why is because I get bored, because I find myself repeating myself, I find myself fraying a little. It is a bit draining, it hurts my voice as well after a time. I don't speak as much as I do in videos away from this at all. So I find mentally this isn't ideal. IRL streaming and 8 to 10 hour streams aren't for me. especially with the IRL format being quite to stand out. Clout chasing and blech is basically all the blech and smegheadery that you would expect from people, especially the younger generation, like half my age, who are so desperate to just be seen. They will do the more ostentatious and outlandish things, believing that that is how people want to see them. It's like the one-trick pony acts from TikTok, where everyone has their own little shtick to stand out. If you've seen the ads on YouTube Shorts of someone trying to remove makeup from their face, here's a spoiler: they're not wearing makeup, it's literally a mask. Don't try me, bitch. You can see the lines around the chin. So how Johnny answers this question, which I've obviously blown up a bit unnecessarily, is important and telling.
It's not, but I guess it's the life we live and the life we chose, you know.
No offense intended to you, you may well like a certain quality of life, but you can change it. I'm quite happy with the quality of life I have. I've been on this platform as a creator for nearly 10 years. 10 years in June. As a creator, full-time for about nearly 9 years now, actually. It wasn't long after my mother passed I decided to make this work as a job, and I succeeded, to an extent. I've never gone beyond a certain point, but I've always held on to work away from this as well. Always. Not just because it was easy work and easy money, but because it grounded me in reality. If you're just willing to accept that this is your life, then you're already defeated and you're consigned to annals of history where people will look at you as another one of those mistakes that should have been swallowed.
Even when I go back home, when I came back home from Japan, like I was just in solitary confinement for 110 days, and I'm just like itching. I'm bored. Like I'm like, I still have my kick account at that point.
As a fellow creator, I can fully understand the withdrawal aspect because I really do love my job, and that comes with a certain level of passion. 100%, I love doing this. Even before someone says, not really a job, that's fine. You're welcome to believe that. The point though is, sometimes we just have to fight that addiction. For you, it's the sensation because you looked at short-term success rather than long-term success. The only long-term success you've had is the fact you're still alive at this point. Considering the countries you've gone to and offended and been banned from, I'm impressed.
Do you feel like it gives you purpose? Is that why?
It makes life more interesting. It does, in a way. Like, you know what I mean? I think, what would I rather do? Go sit in a cubicle, or go sit in my house, or would I rather go travel the world and make adventures and meet people? While I'm still young and I'm still able to do it, when I still have the financial means and my body, the health means. But I'm sacrificing that now. I'm sacrificing mental health, physical health now. You saw 2 days ago someone punched me in the back of the head.
Firstly, it's called adulting. We all have to do what we don't enjoy. You are lucky you may have had an opportunity to be an adult at one point. Second, you may be bored and not find it interesting, but that is again adulting. Additionally, you getting punched in the back of the head is not a flex. You seeming like you're just trying to find your place in the world by being entertaining or finding entertainment things tells us that you really are just a sensationalist. Someone solely looking for gratification. Would I be right to assume that you ran out of porn to watch for all the sensation that gave you for the brief 5 minutes you could have gone, you one-pump chump? By the way, as an entire 1 minute plus video clip, none of this reeks of sincerity. It really doesn't. It's just a chance for you to seem like you have thought about it and just decided, well, the ends outweigh the means, so surely I'm not a smeghead and can do what I want. Twat.
So I feel like I'm aging myself actually quicker. It is stressful. You sacrifice yourself for this.
How much of yourself can you sacrifice before, like, there is no more Ramsey and it's just Johnny Somali?
I think if I get sent to prison again, I'm gonna go psycho. if, and I think at that point there's no more Ramsey at that point. I feel like I'll go fucking crazy.
If is a very strong word. I think it's highly likely you are going to prison. Johnny is facing a number of charges. With those charges, he's also facing prison terms. His chances of winning are 1 in 10. He has a 10% chance of succeeding, and that 10% is about to get even smaller. It's not an ideal time for Johnny. Let's face it, Johnny's looking at, being used as a rubber in a prison. Now, I, being the generous individual that I am, had speculated that Johnny would get about a year, because I thought perhaps there would be some leniency and they would compound all the charges and put it into one as a concurrent sentence. So 1 year, maybe 9 months for good behaviour, by which time he'll resemble a cheese grater. Well, it's about to get a little bit larger, the, let's say, possible sentence, because as time has gone by, we've become more aware of what the charges are and the evidence against him. His live streams, in fact. those same live streams and his activities all over social media, which tickle me to no end because he doesn't really have the pull he thinks he has, yet with the limited pull he has, he is now staring at a potential sentence longer than that of a life sentence, a standard life sentence, which is about 25 years. He's looking at 31. We'll get to that in a moment, of course. We should possibly dive into something else first, and it involves this individual you see on the screen. This individual on the screen, courtesy of an image from Dexter 2, which, as you see underneath from the amazing Lucas, Why Are They So Violent? We'll get to that soon. This individual is Dalguen, D-A-L-G-U-E-N. They are a Korean SEAL, Marine, one of those military types, and they punched him out. Now, of course, I don't support physically harming people, of course not. He's actually asked people to hit him, though. He has challenged people to do it, so they're doing it. Let's not forget here, Johnny disrespected comfort women's statues, harassed the elderly and children in Korea. He asked for people to do this on purpose. He wanted them to do it so he could make content out of it. That Korean Navy SEAL was fined $7,000 after attacking Johnny Somali, or up to. Happy ending for that. Donut operator sent $4,000 to cover the legal side of this. I'm okay with this. This was covered by Legal Mindset, who had said big thanks to Donut Operator for covering the fines imposed for delivering a punch to Johnny Somali for his insult of the Statue of Peace, the Korean people, and attacks on women and children. Picture of the individual who punched him in his military attire. Just the thing, please don't mess with people who've served. It's not a good look for you. Donut Operator actually got in contact with this individual, the Marine, because of Legal Mindset anyway. I like networking, don't you? It's funny how Johnny tries to sow seeds of dissent and discord, yet he has managed to create unity around him, just not in the bubble he resides within, which is a bit embarrassing really, isn't it? Now, for those who want a bit more of a comprehensive breakdown of Johnny Somali and his activities over the past year, I will link a number of videos for you, because I've done a few, all of which are quite important for context's sake. Now let's dive into the more recent tweet from Dexter2 concerning additional charges. Actually, no, I'm just going to show you an Anne with an E's reply, oh no, anyway. Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll dive into the article instead. Johnny Somali facing up to 31 years in jail after being charged with another sex crime. Now, he's already been done for one because of the AI generated, which concerned a local South Korean celebrity that he introduced into a picture. Yet there are low bars. He's decided James Cameron can't reach this one. It's gotten even lower. So in 2024, Johnny Somali, real name Ramzi Khalid Ismail, Johnny travelled to South Korea and continued where he left off in Japan and Israel. Now I think, isn't he banned in Japan now? I don't know about Israel, but I can't imagine he wants to go back there right now. In numerous broadcasts, the streamer disrespected Koreans, disrupted businesses, confronted other content creators, and was even KO'd by a former Korean Navy SEAL. The funny thing about Johnny, he's got this will to keep getting up that I find impressive, but he has a glass jaw. Every time he's struck, he instantly goes down. He does not have a survival instinct. He does not have legs that could actually withstand much. Yeah? Somali ended up being charged for some of his streamed content in an ongoing trial that saw him show up late and hung over for his first court appearance. One of those court appearances we did go through, and it was rather amusing because it was covered by Atozi, who had flown all the way out there with a few others. I think Legal Mindset was one of them actually, to observe this as it unfolded, because Johnny went in a suit that didn't fit, far too big, because he's a midget, a little twink boy. He went in and he's small by Korean average height standards. He went in, and by the time the proceedings ended and all the charges were read out, the smile was gone from his face. On the 8th of May 2025, it was reported that Johnny Somali was charged with a second sex crime, which would add another 10 plus years on top of his other charges, because he's been hit with another deepfake charge. According to YouTube lawyer Legal Mindset, Johnny was hit with a second count of distributing false videos in the form of deepfakes, something that is considered a sex crime in Korea. It is considered a sex crime in many countries, by the way. It really is. And it should be treated as such, by the way. 100%. Previously, he was facing one single count for allegedly sharing deepfakes of Korean streamer Bong Bong kissing him. In Korea, when it comes to the legal process, they take this very seriously. In fact, if they get you in a courtroom, they've 90% proven everything already. That courtroom is almost like a Kardashian trial. You are basically there just to be told you're guilty. If you're a Star Trek fan, congratulations, you got the reference. The second charge, as per legal mindset, is probably from other Korean streamers, who had run-ins with Somali, such as the Navy SEAL, who was fined for punching the American. This doesn't include the other charge filed against him, and so far he's pled guilty to one count of obstruction of business, but he has an additional charge against him too. Obstruction of business carries a maximum penalty of 5 years. Now this is why I don't think he'll get 5. An example may well be made, but I do think he'll get lesser on those. The deepfakes, well, there's something else. I just realised I missed a sentence. Deepfakes carry a maximum penalty of 10.5 years in jail. So if he's found guilty on both counts, he could be behind bars for 21 years if they do them consecutively and not concurrently. I don't know the legal system in South Korea enough to know whether they would stack them or run them side by side. Hence, consecutive and concurrent. In the UK, it is incredibly common, and I don't agree with it, for sentences to be concurrent. Because ideally, we want people to go to prison and then get out of them as quickly as possible before they go to the European Court of Human Rights and claim we violated them. I still think we need to make an Azkaban and put them out there on neutral oath, especially the more serious criminals. So tax dodgers and lawyers. UK lawyers, more importantly. If you're a legal YouTuber, it's not a shot at you, I promise. But I'm going to also add insurance companies from the American side because you guys are predators and you know it. When it comes to the obstruction of business charge, things like this don't help because he has, on top of the bad charges, he has made it a point to insult many facets of South Korean life. His go-to defense was always, I'm an American, I'm an American. South Korea is one of the biggest, strongest, most powerful economies and countries in the world. It'd be even more powerful, I guess, if North Korea could reintegrate and then obviously after a few generations actually just become Korea, because it would be a massive boom to the world. The economy, the world stage would be massive. South Korea is massive, and I don't think they're afraid remotely of US interference because they have a good relationship with the US. And I don't think the US are going to protect you, Johnny Somali, because they have no reason to. You're a tool. You make Americans look bad. You are very, very privileged. You've had everything, and you've thrown it all away for clout on the internet. Something which you tried in some faux melancholy video to make it seem like you were more relatable and down to earth. But then you carried on being an absolute tosspot. So really, what have you accomplished? Not much, really. If we were to compare you with any standard YouTuber, I think more YouTubers have accomplished more than you because they've at least got something to show for it in the form of a play button. At best, you've got bruises, scuff marks, cuts, scars. You don't have anything else to show for your jackassery, the general jackassery that you like to partake in on a regular basis. Now, this isn't including other possible charges that haven't been filed yet, as he's also accused of threatening to spread HIV, broadcasting North Korean propaganda, and violating anti-terrorism laws. Now, the North Korean propaganda one reminded me of a channel that I've been seeing a lot of shorts for lately. A YouTube channel of a guy who's gone to North Korea as a tourist, done marathons and all these things. And I put it up there next to the influencers who do all those quaint videos talking about how amazing China is. And don't try me with this crap. It's a lie. Stop it. Spreading HIV is an interesting one. If proven true, that is a horrendous thing to try and do. And as far as violating the country's anti-terrorism laws, that's a bold move. It's a very bold move. All three, a very broad and varied activity list for the Johnny Somali type person deal moment. It's like he wants to hit every nail in the coffin to ensure that he doesn't come out for a long time. Because you've got deepfakes, which some could argue falls within revenge PORN. Feels like it does, but he doesn't even know the people. You've got the North Korea propaganda, which is risky. You have anti-terrorism laws, which may well fall within the North Korean propaganda, and HIV, which is disease-based. And then hassling the local people, insulting the comfort girl statues. All of this makes you look like you were just trying to honestly get yourself buried. Now, because I wasn't so familiar with the HIV-related part, I had to click on a few tweets and I found it from the 23rd of April 2025 in a video shared by Johnny So Smalley, an extended version of Johnny threatening to spread STDs through Korea deliberately. Here's a clip of that.
If Korea does not let me out of Korea, I'm telling you right now, it is a danger to the Korean women. I have had so much sex with Korean women while I've been locked here. I don't wear any condom when I don't get any STD tests when I Korean women. I don't get any STD tests when I Korean women. And I make sure spread whatever I have all of these Korean women.
Because I wasn't so familiar with the North Korean propaganda, but I knew about it, there is also another video of it because he did this. Tweeted by Legal Mindset. And the anti-terrorism laws come courtesy of him threatening bomb scares. The video has since been deleted, by the way. Well, his original stream part, but the video is on the internet, so the internet is, as we all know, forever.
나에겐 폭탄이 있다. 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 나에겐 폭탄이 있다.
Sorry.
나에겐 폭탄이 있다.
I'm sorry.
나에겐 폭탄이
We
있다.
got, what does it even say? I don't know. What?
나에겐 폭탄이 있다.
Guys, there's kids right here,
나에겐
bro.
폭탄이 있다.
As far as I'm concerned, good luck. I'm not rooting for you though, Johnny. The IRL streamer format, to me, is one I will actively, openly look down upon even though I don't get anywhere near the views they get. I'm not going to compromise my integrity or dignity at the expense of other people's, or for a little extra money. We could all do with extra money, of course we could, but I will not compromise values for that, nor for what is dubbed relevancy. I don't need to be one of those cliche streamers that has to show off the most expensive thing in my collection. For many of them, it's some sports car they have to pose next to in colour matching clothing. If you're that kind of streamer, you're crap, by the way. Because of this, you see more people, typically Americans, going to other countries and acting like arseholes. Exhibit A here.
Look at you. Look at you.
Streamers like this always get tied to the likes of Johnny Somali because Johnny is one facing the actual consequences next to Vitaly. Although unlike Vitaly, I still get views talking about Johnny. The second clip I want to show you is a friend of Johnny's called Hank, who is curious as to why the internet hates him.
Why are they targeting me? Guilty by association. My mom and my dad
Talk about your family.
does not care whether he dies, whether an American citizen dies from starvation. So, like, why should I be also punished?
The answer to why is quite simple. If you're not so smart, you'll struggle to be able to comprehend it because you're assholes. Simple as that. You can try and act like you're going to change. You can try and pretend you're better or it's all just a joke, but the reality is, once an asshole, the internet will never forgive. And those that have been dropping Johnny on a regular are all military trained. They could have done much worse to him, but they don't have to. They just don't want to see someone like Johnny further sullying the home that they live in, considering what they have all had to go through or what their ancestors went through. So as we know from last week, with all the charges he's facing, Johnny Somali could face up to 30 years in prison. It's unlikely to be that severe, but he could face a few years regardless. The more recent charges involve deepfakes of another streamer, a big no-no in South Korea, a big no-no in many countries. But South Korea culturally takes this very different to other countries and states that would simply slap you on the wrist. On May the 16th, Johnny Somali had his second court appearance, in which he faced more obstruction of business charges and charges for allegedly creating deepfakes. 10.5 years, by the way, for creating deepfakes. In his first court date, he turned up late and he was warned by the judge to not, because that could incur additional, charges. It's contempt, isn't it? He was late again, and before even taking the stand, his lawyer was looking for him During this hearing, Johnny disputed claims of creating deepfakes and distributing the 2 counts of the charges of distributing deepfakes, where he went on to plead not guilty. However, his lawyer was completely unable to provide 1 iota, 1 molecule, 1 Higgs boson of evidence to prove his innocence. He did, though, plead guilty to playing music on a bus, causing the bus to be late, causing a disruption at a theme park, Lot World, that caused a ride to in turn be shut down. Obstruction of business carries a maximum penalty in South Korea of 5 years, with 3 counts. If consecutive, that's 15 years. No lie, I hope consecutive. It's the only way some people will learn. Concurrent is a joke. Johnny's next hearing won't be taking place until August the 13th, 2025, and it will in turn be a full day of testimony. This hearing, though, did not answer any additional charges he is being accused of. This would include threatening to spread HIV, broadcasting North Korean propaganda, and violating anti-terrorism laws, all of which we covered in last week's video on this subject. I'll link those, or that video anyway, down below. Now would be a good time to talk about the charges he has already pled guilty to. During his first court appearance, he showed up late hungover, so a little contempt there. He pled guilty to obstruction of business for causing chaos in a 7-Eleven, and 2 counts of minor crime acts after he harassed people with a dead fish and twerked on the subway. Considering how small he is, I'm not entirely sure how they quantify twerking. So basically, the majority of his charges that he has pled guilty to include interfering with businesses in some manner, whether that be a 7-Eleven, causing a bus to be late, or shutting down a ride at a theme park by being a colossal jackass. I'm surprised they haven't managed to slap additional charges onto him for when he's laid down in the middle of the road after he's been dropped by somebody, which he rightfully deserved at this point. There are people in my country who have gone to prison for years over a tweet. If he doesn't go to prison, it would be a miscarriage of justice based on their own rules. And just to be clear here, sticks and stones break bones, words won't hurt. I fully agree with this mantra. He should be allowed to say whatever he wants. But that is not something believed or shared by many others in different cultures and countries. One must respect their cultures and their country. In my country, he'd probably get an award for it. King's Medal, perhaps. Based on potential prison sentences, the most severe charge he is facing are the deepfakes. As an individual charge, that is. The accumulated charges don't help, because based on what he's facing so far, he is looking at 15 to 20 years anyway, based on what those minor charges, minor crimes act charges, harassment of people, and of course the bus, the theme park. Yeah, not ideal. No, because obstruction of business is also frowned upon heavily, especially when you're in a country like South Korea that is growing at the rate it is growing at. It wants its businesses to operate at full capacity for as much as possible. And spreading North Korean propaganda, which isn't a charge you've yet been dealt with on yet. I just want to say, most of us here around the world want North and South Korea to finally become just Korea. People of North Korea are suffering enough as it is. The South don't need to be reminded of the threat of the North that often. It is a very tentative situation for them to be in. So there is another area we need to touch upon within this video, and that is Johnny Somali's financial situation. For this we go to an article from International Business Times, titled "Johnny Somali Runs Out of Money, Begs for Help as Korean Court Drama Escalates." Oh no, what a shame. Johnny Somali's public meltdown has turned into a desperate fight for survival, as legal issues and mounting debts threaten to end his career and perhaps his freedom. If he's found guilty on so much as one of those deepfake charges, which he is, it's mandatory prison. South Korea doesn't mess around. We know of this because of legal mindset. The YouTuber, that's not what he is, but okay, is running out of options in South Korea. The 24-year-old, known for his clickbait stunts, now faces a bleak future amid ongoing legal battles and financial ruin. Well, I guess the one thing he has on his side is there's a US embassy in South Korea. When he gets out of prison, he can go there or they'll deport him. They'll do it on Ryanair, so he'll have to check all his luggage, which will be just himself, and he'll probably have to get his shots before flying and being dropped off at the nearest airport, which would happen to be the closest he can get to America, Pyongyang. There is very little in the way of sympathy when it comes to Johnny's legal and financial situation. You've destroyed what credibility you had on multiple platforms, and your real gift, your only gifts to the world, includes you being an arsehole. The self-described internet troll, infamous for his controversial behaviour. Okay, we're getting an ego thing here. Don't care. His behaviour has caused legal repercussions in a number of locales: Japan, Israel, and South Korea. A recent Telegram message obtained by fellow YouTuber Legal Mindset paints a stark picture. I don't use Telegram, so I didn't see this. Somali is currently banned from working under a travel restriction and has run out of money. Oh, what a shame. The message reads, Johnny has a travel ban. Korea doesn't let him work and doesn't give him any support. Johnny is out of money now and I'm supporting him. There is no choice, he will starve if I do not. It included a PayPal link requesting donations for his legal costs. The message also continued by saying, the attorney fees are too burdensome. If there are people who can help, please donate. In response, Professor CEO criticized by saying, it is an article that announces Somali's tragic downfall, further stating the idiom self-inflicted punishment comes to mind. Professor CEO stated, it's a problem that foreign YouTubers have continued to engage in crimes due to Somalis, citing that YouTubers Black Dave and Ice Poseidon also caused all sorts of noise while recklessly wandering around Seoul and Busan. He emphasized, we must impose severe penalties on Johnny Somali, who is currently on trial, to set a good precedent. We must ensure that foreign YouTubers who mock South Korea and threaten passers-by cannot wreak havoc in the country any longer. Somali's issues in Korea began because of his choice. He made this decision to go from Israel or Japan to Israel to here, to be an asshole on purpose, because that's all he has in the online space. There is civility, and yeah, there are going to be trolls. But there are lines in the sand, they're unwritten rules, and because they're unwritten, now they're about to be written because of him. The support for Johnny is not just dwindling, it has completely fallen off a cliff. It is why so few people are interested in helping. Using people like Black Dave and Ice Poseidon to drive home this point is totally valid. There are many other streamers who are just as irritated on whichever platform they want to use, where they regularly like to push some kind of coin and short it so they can pocket all the money that it has generated. Hi, Jack Doherty. Johnny is 24 years old. His future is, as stated in many articles, looking a little on the bleak side. I feel not a shred, an iota of any sympathy for him. You're 24. I'm 39, and honestly, I've never once been tempted to be an arsehole like this. And people like Johnny and any other streamer that goes to another country need to give more consideration to what pull they really have, the influence they have, what money they can generate before they get caught in a position like this, where they are then stuck, being forced to beg for donations, perhaps even beg for food. It is fortuitous that Johnny's only half the size of a normal adult and doesn't require anywhere near the amount of food as everyone else. He'll get used to that when he goes to prison as well, before then being deported and banned from South Korea. If streamers like Johnny don't get their crap in order, more countries, especially in Asia, are going to go in on you harshly, and they're going to make it so you are impossible, or it is impossible, for you to do what you deem your job to be. Social media influence as an occupation does have potential to be greatly beneficial, provided you're not an entitled twat. This isn't influencing, in a positive sense anyway, unless the positive sense is making sure that streamers, live streamers, IRL streamers are incapable of doing any of what they dub their job to be in countries they do not come from. I didn't know until recently Johnny Somali has his own Wikipedia page. Now, there are some interesting factoids here. Ethnicity is one, for example, others being where he was raised. His viewerships on YouTube, which is hilarious subscriber count for a guy with 20.7 thousand subscribers on his old channel on YouTube at the age of 24. This guy is remarkably notorious. He has his own Wikipedia. That's the fascinating part over, but the best part is that you know you've made it when your Wikipedia page is mostly about what has been dubbed your social impact. In Japan, where you were found guilty, in Israel, where you were kicked out, and in South Korea, where you still reside. Your Wikipedia is mostly legal proceedings based, because there's nothing about you worth adding beyond that. Yeah, you're an IRL streamer who streams on Party because, well, you have streamed on Party. You've been banned, by the way, on Party as well. You are so, I would say, edgy, but you're not necessarily edgy. You're just a disappointment? Have you considered the Mizzy path, getting some practical skills, NVQ or vocational based, and then going into the real world and working, earning respect rather than demanding respect? The problem with many IRL streamers, especially those who are now facing legal consequences. Many of you expect and demand what you could go out and earn. It's not overly complicated. If you're having issues with it, don't worry. All you have to do is do the following.
Don't be such a colossal smeghead.
It's not difficult, but it's okay if you can't. I regard many of you like I have regarded Chantal, who's now in Syria, regretting that one no doubt, considering what's happened a stone's throw from where she lives. I regard you all as one gigantic colostomy bag of failure. Much like Amberlynn Reid telling the truth, Chantal making a good decision, I would trust you, Johnny, and others like you, the IRL streamers who keep getting into legal trouble, to obey the rule of law in the land you go to. In the same sense, I would trust a single cell of cancer to not try to kill the person it's inside. Yes, I made that joke earlier in the week if you heard it. I will gladly reuse it. I thought it was quite smart. So yes, the first part of this video is that Johnny does in fact have a Wikipedia page when he has bugger all in his life worth noting beyond his criminal ongoing or his social impact, as it is dubbed. I love that within this social impact, it also references that you've been banned from Twitch, you've had a ban on Kick, you've had a ban from Party. Are you on Rumble yet? Because they might be one of the few platforms where you have a chance of not getting banned. Although if you did, I'd be here for it, because I would support you in your attempts to totally not be an absolute speg for brain, even though you are. It's hilarious. I saw 2 articles concerning Johnny of interest. Now, he doesn't go back to court until early August, which means we're not going to be discussing him much until then. And the August part is important because, as many of you know, he is facing, because he's pleaded guilty to 5 of the 7 charges. He is looking at years in prison, potentially. Some like 30 days, sure. Not guilty, though, to 2 other counts of special act of sexual violent crimes. And that's 2 counts of that. This could get interesting. Now, I noticed in the first article, PewDiePie has been sharing his opinion on Johnny Somali. In a recent video on PewDiePie's channel titled YouTubers Are Ruining Japan, PewDiePie talks extensively about the content of a lot of people who are disrupting the peace of local people in Japan. Now, tourism as a whole is hugely beneficial to that country's economy. All countries can benefit from it if it's safe to go. So if you go to Syria, please don't think you're a tourist. We all know you're a prisoner, at best. Those that go to Japan, though, need to understand, much like any other country, you need to respect the customs of that land. That applies to all countries, by the way. It doesn't matter where you go. If you cannot do that, you should rightfully be criticised. We have earlier this year criticised, I think it was Miskiff, climbed on one of the blossom tree. Miskiff, though, did apologise publicly everywhere. As far as I'm concerned, if the people of Japan can accept the apology because it was a mistake, great. Rather than doing the intrusive thought thing of doing a pull-up. Was it Aiden Ross? No, it was Miskiff, yes. Some people, though, like Johnny, no, that's not what Johnny did. PewDiePie believed that Johnny Somali's name outshines the most notorious content creators there, or who have been there, by saying, he's been yelling Fukushima, Nagasaki, we will do it again. And then he's like, I can't believe they actually treat me like I'm a terrorist. Yep, so he got arrested and now he got deported. I don't know if he's banned for life or anything like that, but it would be really difficult for him to enter again, which is good. Get him out. I think he was. If memory serves, he has been banned for life. I think Logan Paul has been too, and rightly so. To anyone that wants to justify, don't bother. The tourists that go and chase geisha girls down the street for a selfie, or go to regions of the country they're not allowed to go to, should be ashamed of themselves. There's a reason tourism is more localized to certain cities. It's so densely populated, it's harder for you to disrespect the country. I'd like to see you pull a stunt like that in a country like North Korea, where you are so controlled, you've got no hope of getting anywhere without being absolutely flogged or put in front of a SAM site for shiggle. Not that I want that for someone like Johnny. I want Johnny to be a better person. The best way to do that is learn, adapt, improve, adjust, and come back with better content, because this is not content. Well, it is for us, those that react and say, yeah, you're a bad avatar for humanity. It's not good content, though, when you are encouraging it through your own stupidity. It will cause more people to act in a stupid way. And it can't be denied, for somebody with such a small following, it's remarkable the level of influence he has. Take for example in Japan, he got beaten. Take for example in Israel, he nearly got his head taken off by a female police officer. She's IDF trained, you got no hope. And in South Korea, he got chased down the street being beaten repeatedly. The only thing he has going for him is the fact he seems to be able to get up quite well. Glass chin, but his legs don't give out completely. But he's still getting beaten, so the only influence he has is uniting people against his existence. And PewDiePie here is correct. You can't go around shouting those things as an American, much like you can't go on a tube in Korea, South Korea more importantly, and shout equally heinous thing, which you've done. And you did it in Israel as well, by the way, don't think I forgot. The clips are featured in videos I've done on you in the past. So moving on from PewDiePie's commentary, we go to a more recent article from The Times of India, published on the 2nd of July this year. Johnny Somali's legal situation in South Korea has intensified as an alleged victim has filed a formal petition demanding severe punishment. This rare legal move, typically reserved for exceptionally serious cases, could significantly, because apparently I can't read today, escalate his troubles. This is interesting. I don't know how the system works in this respect, or whether this has any sway over the judge. Ultimately, I don't care. I want Johnny to be punished. Only way he'll learn, right? According to reports from YouTuber and lawyer Legal Mindset, a formal petition has been submitted to Seoul's Western District Court demanding the harshest possible punishment. What makes this significant is that South Korean courts almost never receive petitions of this nature unless the case is deemed exceptionally serious. Because this would set a precedent, it can be regarded as quite serious. His previous activities in Japan and Israel certainly do him no favors in this. What makes this so unique is that the petition wasn't just made up on change.org. It was filed by someone directly affected by Johnny Somali's actions. Petitions cannot, just to be clear here, be filed by third parties, fans, or random observers. Only an actual victim in Korea, someone who then can testify in court, is allowed to submit the request. The key detail means the court will take this more seriously than mere public sentiment. That's mostly because public sentiment was to punch Johnny repeatedly and be fined as a consequence, which led to many people just sending the money to the people who got fined in the first place. Turns out public support for South Koreans is much higher than that of Johnny Somali, who I can't imagine is doing that well financially these days, since he can't make money there. In this instance, the person must then present documented evidence of harm, make a formal case for why Johnny deserves a severe sentence. So the real important part is this has to be factual, not emotional. Factual damage, not emotional damage. As far as I'm concerned, I didn't know this kind of statement, petition to legal representatives could in fact be made, and I like it. It's like a victim impact statement, but not given during sentencing, given before sentencing is even considered. I like that. And if this is all what has happened, it's not a surprise Johnny has yet to respond to any of it, because he knows shit creek paddle lacking. He's screwed. He knows he is. I still think he won't get a very harsh sentence. I think he'll at best get 1 year. If he's lucky. He'll be banned from the country immediately, and then he'll go somewhere else and carry on as if nothing happened. If you want to add to your repertoire of places you'd like to go, Johnny, where you're guaranteed to get into trouble with some of the stunts you pulled, based on what we know of Foodie Beauty, Kuwait's a great option. We had said, come August, there will be some updates concerning him. And courtesy of Atozi and Legal Mindset, we have them. And this stuff's great. So let's dive right into a tweet from Legal Mindset. Legal Mindset. Updated criminal sheet for Ramzi Khalid Ismail, Johnny Somali. After today's court date, he pled guilty to the new obstruction charge and changed his not guilty plea on the third obstruction charge due to a witness showing up. Next trial is October 29th, 2025. As you can see from the images, we have all 8 charges. We have obstruction of business count 1s to 4, minor offence act 1 and 2, and deepfake count 1 and 2. The only ones he has not pled guilty to are the deepfakes, which we all know are true because we've seen the images from his social media. But it's interesting he'd plead not guilty to those, but guilty to the others, which if you look at the penalties, up to 5 years imprisonment and up to 100,000 of a currency. or 30 days detention. So you've got detention, prison, or fine. Reply underneath from Marsupial Prime 4. Frankly, it's worrisome that at the moment he could just be fined $36,400 and go free. Looking forward to the next one, but I wouldn't be too shocked if they find a way, even with the remaining charges, to say, give us a wad of cash and GTFO, just so he's no longer their problem. So I could agree with this if it was in, for example, a United Kingdom court, because they're a joke. South Korea, though, have drawn this out. I don't think they're looking for money. If they did, it would make them look a bit bitch-made. I think they're looking to make an example, and the example will be absolutely emphatic. Done. Yes. Atozi, over on his Twitter, had put out a video and tweeted just got out of Somali's third court hearing here in Seoul, South Korea, and it's safe to say he will be stuck here for a long time. We're going to go through that now.
Okay, so we just got out of Johnny Somali's third court day here in the beautiful yet rainy Seoul, South Korea. And it's safe to say, last time things went terrible for him, today things went awful.
And we on the internet would like to thank the South Korean legal system for this. We want it to go badly for him because we want other live streamers of his kind, the IRL type that aggravate people of differing cultures and belief systems, we want them to understand you can't pull this stunt and get away with it. And now we know consequences do in fact exist in places like South Korea, people are going to be less inclined to pull these stunts in other countries. South Korea is arguably leading the charge, and it's not a free speech issue. Don't, for the one or two people who say this, don't try me.
And honestly, kind of embarrassing, because a lot of the stuff they did not make sense whatsoever. Clearly, he was way more locked in. He realized how much he screwed up now, it seems like, and he's realizing, uh-oh, I might be stuck in prison for a long time.
While I don't want him to be a burden on the South Korean taxpayer, I do feel it right that if you break the law in a country, you fulfill the duties imposed upon you by the court, whether it be prison or fines, in that country. The funnier part really is that if he was just fined, he wouldn't be able to pay it straight away as he's not able to earn any money in South Korea. But leaving him in a prison until he's able to pay it would be equally funny. He came from privilege in, was it Scottsdale, Arizona? Yeah, I can't imagine his family are in a hurry though to bail him out. Or would be in a hurry to bail him out. Not all smegheads are treated the same after all.
So today, at least he was very serious. So, currently he's facing 8 counts, or 8 charges, and 4 of which are obstruction of businesses, 2 of which are misdemeanors. He pled guilty to all 6 of those charges.
In my country, what we typically do, we get rid of the charges that are inconsequential and we really latch onto the ones that are harsher sentence territory. I think that applies to a number of countries. South Korea not doing that? I bet that's a surprise to him now, isn't it? I'm surprised they haven't agreed a plea bargain. That might also not be a South Korean thing. Him locking in and finally taking this seriously took long enough. Does it change the outcome? No, because he has never shown any remorse for his actions, some of which included him shouting some racial things. It's not great.
Then you have the 2 big charges, which are the deepfakes charges, and the deepfake charges are for distributing the deepfakes. Unfortunately for him, he decided to plead not guilty to the distribution of deepfakes because, in quote, he distributed them, but he did not make them. So that's why he's pleading not guilty.
Oh, do please tell me somebody at least forewarned him that just because he didn't create them, yet still distributed them, he, by definition of the charge, distributed deepfakes. And he intentionally distributed them because they involved a South Korean Twitch streamer, a local celebrity, as it were, intentionally done to rile up local anger, local peoples of the South Korea who might be a little annoyed that you are intentionally taking things, making it all about yourself, but distributing deepfakes, which is wrong in many countries, by the way. It feels like unnecessary semantics to try and make yourself seem more innocent with the arguably 2 more serious charges. But let's face it here, no, you done goofed. And I'm so glad your legal representative didn't tell you that you're still distributing, because this is funnier. I may not sound like I'm laughing, but this is the 4th time I've recorded this.
The problem for him when doing that is that means they actually have to bring the victims of the deepfakes into the court for questioning. And that extends the whole trial process by easily 2 to 3 months.
Now that is, on the face of it, a very strange tactic. For him, that is. If we now know that those in the deepfake images have to be in court, which is an inconvenience on them, we can all agree on that. What's he expecting to do when they're brought into the court? Question them? What, bribe them in front of the judge to fall silent? Intimidate them with his less than average stature? You're shorter than the national average height in South Korea. The only threat you could possess Johnny Somali is if a hobbit stood on you, because it would be akin to getting a splinter. So this unnecessary extension of 2 months seems a bit pointless.
So if he just pleaded guilty to that, things would be over pretty quickly. He would get his sentence and he would at least know what his fate is. But now they're deciding to extend the process for no real upside.
Delaying the inevitable seems like a tactic by somebody who's unwilling to accept reality. I'm kind of wondering if Johnny has gone through the 5 stages of grief yet. The final being acceptance, basically his fate being what could well be custodial. If you're delaying the process as much as you are, it feels to me like not only are you delaying it as a way of staying outside for longer, but also like somebody hasn't warned you that if you do something like this, these crappy little tactics, courts tend to go a bit harsh on you when it comes to sentencing as a punishment for drawing it out, especially when the end result can be argued to be inevitable. Had you, Rubber Johnny, simply pled guilty, you could well just be locked up for a while and already be partway through your sentence. Hopefully the maximum available, but we'll get to that soon. It's unlikely, let's face it.
And by him not pleading guilty, that just makes the sentence even harsher on him. So currently, the legal analysts I've been talking to, they're expecting a 5 to 8 year sentence for him from all this. So that's definitely going to be very interesting to see how all this pans out.
Now, 5 to 8 years is an interesting statement, really, isn't it? If that is what people believe is going to happen next. We'll get to a bit more of that in a moment, though. Atozi over on Twitter had also said, just got out of the 3rd Johnny Somali court hearing, and last time it went awful. This time he came in with a defeated look on his face, acted serious, and things went terrible for him. Out of the 8 charges, he's pled guilty to 6. The last 2, he pled not guilty, and then further explaining what we saw in the video. It's safe to say he won't be leaving South Korea anytime soon, including a picture of Atozi looking very out of place. Why? Because he's wearing smart clothing. It doesn't look right on him. Legal Mindset had tweeted, important note is that Ramsey and Hank left the courtroom together with their lawyer and denied any requests for interviews from the media or other streamers. This indicates a massive shift from his previous bravado. If you need a short summary of everything that happened today of the trial, look no further than my Fast Facts, which just dropped, linking a video helping us further understand the situation, the predicament, the trouble that, well, he is in, Johnny is in, Rubber Johnny is in. Dexter2 had put out an article via a tweet, and this stated he could face up to 20 years in prison or a fine of up to $145,000 for his guilty pleas. Now, earlier, Atozi had mentioned 5 to 8 years. They've gone up to 20. Now, the maximum, according to Legal Mindset, is actually not 20, it is 12. I don't think for a second he'll get 12. I had believed from the start of this he'd get maybe 2, maybe. But as more charges came to the surface, and the deepfakes are the ones that people are really latching onto here, for me especially, it goes up even higher. It's only a maximum of 20 if you make stuff up. Seriously. A question of interest, where is Johnny right now? More than likely staying with Hank, because he has no money, he has no freedoms, he's barely able to do anything, he can't stream, unless he's doing it on Party or whatever the platform's called that no one cares about. Even then, though, his mobility is restricted, he is very much stuck between a rock and a hard place. And it's not like he can escape, because the only land border with South Korea is the north. Short of him swimming from South Korea to Japan, and we all know how his time in Japan went last time he was there, it is unlikely he'd be able to do that. So he has officially dug himself into a hole that, legally, many people believe he is not going to be coming out of for a while. I, in this grand scheme of things, am okay with this, because streamers like this did a lot of damage to the online space. While their controversial actions did give people like myself content, I don't want to be getting content from idiots like this, says the guy who pretty much just complains about other creators all the time. Yes, I'm also doing that before the person puts it in the comments. Typically within the Where Are They Now series, I'm able to pull out some additional updates that didn't make it into video format. This is not one of those times. Johnny's cases aren't going to be heard again until next year, it is believed, so I don't have an update. The only articles I found that were remotely kinda closely related to him were articles talking about nuisance influencers, which is another quaint term for IRL streaming arsehole. So we don't have much to go on, but at time of recording he is still in South Korea. The victims all want maximum sentences. He is running out of money, he streams where he has to stream, he barely gets any views. His clout, his fame, his notoriety, any wealth he may have accrued, all gone. He is basically living on fumes over there, and he ekes out an existence on whatever platform he is allowed to stream on, and he's been banned from many of them already. As far as year goes, this is a year of consequence for him. Try and act big, brave and tough all you like, but you're a midget with a complex. And in this instance, that aforementioned midget with a complex is in 2026 going to go to prison. When he does, it will set the precedent for other nuisance streamers that there are lines they should not and cannot cross. In South Korea, they will make their stance abundantly clear, and there will be a Halls of Injustice video on that when we get there.